Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a challenge that, let's be honest, everyone faces, whether you're in a classroom or a boardroom. And that is, how do you get from that blank page to a truly brilliant presentation? Let's dive right in. Oh, you know that feeling. I know you do. It's that blinking cursor on a totally blank slide, the pressure's on, that deadline's getting closer, and you're just staring at it thinking, where do I even begin? Yeah, that's what we call presentation panic, and it's a very real thing. Well, today, that all changes. We're not just going to give you a few tips and tricks. No, we're going deeper. We are unlocking the actual architecture, the blueprint, really, that's behind every single great presentation you've ever been impressed by. And look, here's why this should matter to you. Getting a handle on this framework, it's the fastest way I know to go from that feeling of pure anxiety to, honestly, real confidence. It's all about having a system, a reliable process you can count on every single time. So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway for today. A clear structure, it's not just some nice-to-have feature. It is the absolute secret weapon for making your message stick, for making it truly memorable. That's our big idea. Okay, so let's start where it all begins. Section 1, the perfect opening. This might just be the most important part of your entire talk. So, you want to know a little secret? What we just did, that whole opening, that wasn't just us getting started. That was the lesson. It was a live demo of the exact formula for a perfect introduction. Think about it. It maps perfectly to these 5 functions. First, we had to gain your attention, right? That's the blink slide. Then, we introduced the topic, presentation architecture. Step 3, we created a reason for you to listen by talking about that shift from anxiety to confidence. Then, we stated our central idea. Structure is the secret. And finally, we just previewed the main ideas. Boom. That's the roadmap for a killer opening. All right, let's move on. Now that we've hooked our audience, we need to build the main part of the presentation, the body. This is where your big ideas live, and structuring them correctly is absolutely critical. And here's the good news. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are basically 3 core blueprints that people have been using forever because, well, they work. You can organize by category, by time, or by location. Let's break that down. Say you're doing a talk on electric vehicles. A topical structure would be to break it into logical parts, like first, their environmental impact, second, the cost, and third, the charging infrastructure. Simple. Or if you're talking about the Colorado River, chronological makes sense, right? You'd start with early use, then move to the era of building dams, and finally talk about the current drought. And for spatial, imagine you're giving a tour of the human brain. You'd literally organize it by physical location, the frontal lobe, then the parietal lobe, and so on. See? The key is just picking the structure that fits your content best. Okay, so your main sections are mapped out. Great. But what about the stuff inside those sections? The evidence, the stats, the stories. How you arrange those for maximum impact? Well, that's where we get into some next-level strategy. So you've basically got 2 powerful psychological tricks up your sleeve here, primacy and recency. Primacy is simple. You hit them with your strongest point first. Bam! Immediate impact. Recency is the opposite. You save your knockout punch for the very end, so it's the last thing they hear and the thing they remember most. So which one do you choose? Well, use primacy if you need to grab them by the collar and challenge their thinking right away. Use recency if you want your big takeaway to be the thing that echoes in their minds long after you're done speaking. And hey, just like with your big ideas, you can also arrange your supporting details chronologically. This is super effective when you're trying to show progress or tell a story over time. You start with the pilot study in 2022, then the statewide trial in 2023, and finally the national rollout in 2024. It just naturally builds the sense of momentum. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. We need to talk about the actual tools you use to deliver this masterpiece. And there is a huge, crucial difference between the document you plan with and the notes you speak from. Okay, think about it like this. You have your preparation outline. That's your architect's blueprint. It's super detailed. It uses full sentences. It's where you make sure everything connects and the logic is sound. But you would never bring a giant, complicated blueprint to the job site to hammer a nail, right? No. For the actual delivery, you need speaking notes. These are your road signs, just keywords, quick phrases, simple cues you can glance at to keep you on the right path without reading word for word. And for those road signs to actually work, they have to be super easy to read at a glance. I mean, use a big font, like 18 or 20 point. Keep the formatting simple. If you have a specific statistic or a quote, write that out completely so you don't mess it up.
And here's a pro tip that makes a huge difference. Add delivery cues for yourself. Little reminders in brackets like pause or slow down. It really helps control your pacing. So we've covered the opening, the body, the notes. We're almost there. Now it's time for the final, critical piece of the puzzle. The part that cements your message in everyone's memory, the conclusion. It is time to nail the landing. So let's just quickly recap what we've walked through today. We started by pulling back the curtain on the perfect opening. Then we looked at the different blueprints for structuring your big ideas, how to arrange your evidence for the most punch, and finally, the huge difference between your planning blueprint and your onstage road signs. And really, all of this circles right back to that one central idea we started with. Remember this, a clear structure isn't a cage. It doesn't restrict you. No, it's the exact opposite. It's the launch pad. It's what gives your ideas the power they need to really take off. And what I just did, that's how you nail the landing. Yep, just like the intro, we just gave you a never live demo. Look at the 3 keys to a strong conclusion. First, we summarize the presentation. Check. Second, we re-emphasize that central idea, with the whole launchpad thing. Check. And third, we provided a sense of closure. It feels like we're done. It's a clean, strong finish. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final question. You've got a presentation coming up. I know you do. Looking at everything we've talked about today, from the perfect opening all the way to nailing the landing, what's the one thing you're going to try first?